Here I have returning guest, Charlene. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, and you?
Doing well, thank you. So, second time here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk this time about this upcoming PCN.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those who don't know, what is PCN and what is FASA?
All right, so PCN stands for Filipino Cultural Night.
Right.
And I guess just to shorten it out, it's just it's a stage production that combines both a student written play and then cultural dances from the Philippines into this one huge production that I like to think illustrates the beauty and the complexity of Filipino culture.
Right.
I think in layman's terms, that's like what the basis of PCN is.
I'm so sorry. I don't have to do it again because I'm very paranoid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No.
So to make sure it's like
there. I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna try it one more time. Just because
Yeah.
I'll edit that out later.
All good.
Okay. So I want to make sure. Okay.
Oh yeah, it looks
Way
good.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Voncast Show. Today I have returning guest Charlene. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome.
So today we're here to talk about the up and coming PCN. That is, well, when this gets out, it's going to be in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Right.
Couple weeks.
Tell us, what is PCN and what is FASA?
All right. So PCN stands for Filipino Cultural Night,
Right.
and it's a stage production that combines both a student-written play. It's usually a student-written play, and then a various amount of cultural dances from the Philippines.
Right.
And it puts it from I like to say from the page to the stage, in order to really illustrate the complexity and the beauty of Filipino and Filipino American culture. And FASA stands for Filipino American Student Association. It's the longest running longest running cultural club here on CSUN campus.
Wow.
Yeah.
From the page to the stage, everyone's engaged.
Yes, exactly.
Just kidding. No, but so that's awesome. So FASA holds the PCN.
Yes.
All right. And you are part of FASA?
Yes, I am.
What's your role in FASA?
Oh man, I first started out just as a general member, but as of now, I'm the Filipino Cultural Night coordinator for CSUN FASA.
Wow.
It's been a long time coming.
Right.
Yeah. Oh god, how do I explain it? It was actually PCN that got me to join FASA.
Really?
Yeah, I joined in the spring semester, which is when all the PCN, the whole PCN season starts. And I kind of joined because I didn't really have any friends, or I was trying to put myself out there, you know, I wanted to get more active on campus. And I remember there's a member that I give a lot of credit to. Her name is Aliana Estanislao. At the time, I believe she was vice president, and she was also the person in charge of props and costumes.
Right.
For not props, but costumes for that year's PCN. And I thought, I know how to sew. I'm pretty good at research, so I was like, you know what, sign me up.
That's cool.
And it was from there that, I watched from the sidelines what PCN was all about. Everything from the dances to the whole play or the script portion of it, and seeing it all come together, and then seeing that my contribution to it through costumes helped really, I don't know how, it helped solidify it because that's what made the whole thing, or the whole production, just what everyone sees from the get-go. So it was from there that.
I think we covered in the last podcast that the costumes are very close, or if not authentic.
Oh yeah, we try to emphasize that.
Yeah, they're not. You don't find them at Michael's.
Oh no, definitely not.
No, so they're very authentic. I've seen a couple PCNs, and the dress and the costumes really really F.
Thank you.
So you were also part of the doing scripts last semester, like the script coordinator? Is that?
Yes, I was a co-script coordinator.
Co-script coordinator with Dong?
Yes.
So now you're the actual script coordinator.
This time I'm the PCN coordinator,
PCN,
so it's the all-encompassing position.
Okay.
And then it's usually up to the PCN coordinator of that year whether or not they want to do a co-script coordinator or just have themselves be, or they'll, how to explain it? They'll have either themselves write the script, or they'll recruit someone else to write the script, or what Dom did this past year, he recruited someone to help him with the script.
Okay.
So for this year, I actually recruited someone to write the script. Her name is Nikki Montez.
Nice.
She was actually one of the leads for this past year's PCN.
Okay.
So I felt that her vision for the script aligned with my overall vision for PCN.
Let's talk about a little bit about last year's PCN. Short summary, what was it about, and what were the reactions to the Filipino Culture Night last year?
Awesome. So last year's PCN was entitled Nandito Ako, which translates to I am here, or here I am.
Right.
It followed the story of, how old was he? He was like 14-year-old Noah in America, and then 18-year-old Adira in the Philippines. And we kind of watched, both on a dual stage, how they grew up in their upbringing, or how they just grew up in their like local environment. And we realized throughout the story that Noah didn't grow up with his birth parents,
Right.
and that Adira is growing up struggling as a woman who's becoming, you know, a mother, and she's also like advancing in her career. And then we later find out after like the middle of the play that they're actually related, like they're mother and son. And it deals a lot with mental health, which was a big subject. I think it was a really hot topic that year.
Definitely.
But I think the perception towards it was more positive than negative.
Right.
I always talk to Dom about how scared I was to share that type of story with people, because mental health is something that shouldn't be taken lightly, but Dom felt that it should have been put onto the stage because this is a topic that we need to talk about.
Right.
Especially in our Filipino culture, our Filipino community, because
Right.
it's rarely ever talked about.
Right.
And it's rarely ever seen as, you know, an issue or
Right.
a problem. It's mainly seen as like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, they're just going through it, you
Yeah.
know? So even like days after PCN happened, or that PCN production was held, people at work, I work at like 85.
Hey, 85.
Yeah, people even recognize me as like one of the co-script coordinators,
Wow.
and they're like, wow, I really, really enjoyed your script, the one that you wrote with Dom. And we even had PCN coordinators from other schools really like commend Dom for having a story like that put onto stage.
That's great.
We always thought that the story that Nandito Ko told, we kind of catered it to those who we felt couldn't relate to stories in the past or in past PCN years, like familial ties or just like the good relationships with family. But then we found out after that PCN that it was more relatable than ever.
Right.
Like there's no perfect family. Every family's flawed.
Of course.
So I don't know. I was really glad to tell that type of story because
That's good.
everyone was able to relate to it.
Definitely. I mean, I can kind of relate because I didn't grow up with my birth parents.
Oh, really?
When I was born, my mom would stay with me, my dad, until, you know, they were better, my mom was better, I could go back. My mom and dad had jobs in America already.
Oh, okay.
So I was raised by my late great aunts, or one of them passed, one's still here. So I didn't know my parents up until I was 7 when I moved here. I mean, I knew them. I spoke with my mom on the phone constantly. Saw my dad a couple times when I was very young. So when I saw my mom in the airport, it was like a movie. We saw each other. We immediately knew that, you know, that's my mom and that's my son. And we just ran toward each other and just hugged each other. So I can relate with that. You know, I do know that in that PCN, it took like a grisly turn for the worse.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and sorry, going with that. I was going to say that, you know, I do understand that, you know, family members oftentimes have to make sacrifices, even if it means being away from family members such as their kids, you know, brothers, sisters. You know, they have to go on ahead and America, wherever country, and work and, you know, provide for their family in that sense so they can have a better life and they take them here. So that's very relatable.
Oh, yeah. It was actually, when Dom and I were first writing the script, I felt a lot of the main character. I can see that Dom sees a lot of himself in the main character, and then on my end of the story, I saw a lot of my older brother, or my older half-brother, in the main character, Noah, because he also grew up without his mom. Because he stayed in the Philippines while my mom moved to America to work to provide for him. And it wasn't until my brother was, I think, maybe, I want to say his early 20s, a lot like the Noah character from Nandito Ko. That was the first time they ever saw each other. Like, or not, I mean, you know, they talk on the phone or like webcam, but it's different. Like a face-to-face interaction with his own mother. You know, and I thought that if, you know, if I knew someone that had that experience, I'm sure
Oh.
there's so many other Filipinos and Filipino Americans that had the same exact experience.
I almost want to say, it's a very broad generalization that almost every Filipino, if not everyone, may have gone through that or knows someone or knows someone who's gone
Oh
through
yeah,
that. So
definitely.
it's a very common thing. So this year, you were the head PCN coordinator. You got someone to work with you. Can you give us like so what you can tell us about the script without giving it all away?
Oh yeah, definitely. So this script is a little more lighthearted than the past, and I'm not like putting down the last one because that was one of my personal.
It's heavy.
Works. Yeah, it's definitely
really
a heavy subject to put onto stage. This one is a little more, I don't want to say wacky, but it's more of a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But my script coordinator, Nikki Montes, she likes to describe it as a dramedy.
Right.
So it follows two siblings that are fraternal twins.
Mm-hmm.
Their names are Valerie and Travis,
Right.
and they are celebrating their 21st birthday in the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're really excited, to reconnect with their roots, with their culture, but only to be faced with a lot of discrimination in terms of like their body image.
Okay.
And a lot of that, or the story, or the reason behind that is just Nikki and I had the same mentality or the same mindset around. Are you aware of like colonial mentality?
Yes.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, colonial mentality is the idea, or how do I explain it? I want to use the Philippines as a prime example. So the Philippines was subject to like 300 or more years of colonialism.
Under Spanish rule?
Under Spanish rule, yes. So because of that, they were taught, or like Native Filipinos were taught that, their natural beauty or everything that was Filipino was not beautiful.
Correct.
Or was not correct.
Right.
So which is why in the Philippines now, we, to this day, colonial mentality has kind of moved passed down onto like today's generation, where, Eurocentric features are more
accepted by society.
Accepted or coveted, and then even down to religion.
Right.
Catholicism was not like native Filipino religion. So we wanted to focus our story around that because both of us are God, how do I explain it? We both have had, our issues with body image. Both of us as like Filipino American women. We were either, too dark, our hair's too dark, we're too big. But then we also didn't want to we didn't want to restrict it to just women. We also know that Filipino American males go through that same like stigma with body image because sometimes they can be too skinny, too dark, they're just too much, and it's never enough. So we kind of wanted to touch upon that, and my whole vision for PCN, and I've been kind of advocating this ever since I started the position, was that if 300 years of colonialism can influence the way people see themselves, maybe 300 years of stories told through PCNs can eventually change how those newer generations view themselves.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I visited the Philippines. Let's see, early 2017, like early January, like right after New Year's.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been there in 20 years, so at that time it was like 97. I was born in the Philippines. All that. I was so surprised at how many skin lightening products and creams were sold. I was just like, wow, really? I can't really, blame people for using that just because, maybe they want to get advanced in society. Unfortunately, having lighter skin or Eurocentric features may get you the job regardless of your skill or talent or experience.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with the colonial mentality that it is there. When I watch TFC, these talk shows, they don't look Filipino to me.
Yeah.
They're like unrealistically light skinned, like what?
I always think a prime example, and not to discredit her either, but Miss Universe, it was Miss Philippines, but at the same time she was half Filipino, so she has those Eurocentric features that are generally coveted by the people in the Philippines as well as people here. So that's why it's kind of we're stuck between a rock and a hard place in terms of like what we view as beautiful, what we view as Filipino, because she is. We're in no place to like say whether or not she's Filipino, but at the same time, it's like, is that really a representation of what we look like, of who we are?
And just to back up my claim, was like, they don't look really Filipino. I lived in the Philippines for 7 years. I've never seen anyone, you know, that dark and anything.
Sorry.
Hey.
I'm just checking to see if there was any of these.
Oh, sure, no worries. I just never seen, like, I never seen that before. You know, and I can see if you constantly watch TFC, you grow up, and obviously 9 out of 10 times you don't look like who's on TV. That may have negative psychological effects on you growing up.
Yes.
You know, so. Wow, so when did you start writing this? Because I know that PCN, it's highly orchestrated, it takes time.
Takes time, yeah.
When did you start writing the script?
So, the way that I'm running it this year is a lot different. So, like when I was writing the script last year with Dom, we started in the summer.
Okay.
It was just like
right after
school's
done.
It was done, yeah, and right after he got his position, we started like busting it out.
Uh-huh.
For me, the way I did it was that I actually recruited Nikki to write the script. I believe in either October or November. It's pretty late in the year.
Okay.
Yeah, October of last year.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's a lot later than what we did for the past year, but it's only because I wanted it to be fully under her reign.
Right.
I didn't want to like spread myself too thin in terms of like all different parts of PCN. And I felt that if we had one person that was, you know, more concentrated on that part of PCN, then we could, I don't know, the way it worked in my head was that it would actually like progress with more like fine tuning.
Right.
Because if I were to spread myself thin and do that, then it'd be kind of like a mess. So I'd rather have someone do it on their own. And what was good about that was that when I released the script coordinator application, people had already like running scripts. They already had like scripts that they had in mind, ideas that they had in mind. And it was more of like, it was more of just choosing who I felt had the vision that most aligned with mine. So yeah, it started around October, November. And what was unique about last year's script that we wanted to bring back to this year's script was that when me and Dom were doing it, we wrote like an outline of the script. We didn't write any lines. We actually just wrote, this is what we want in this scene, this act. And then we're bringing that back to this year where the script coordinator is also doing the same thing. She's being very detailed as to like what she wants in each act, who she wants in each scene, and all that stuff. And what made it fun for her, as she was like the lead for the last year and now that she's leading script, was that we gave them all the opportunity to write their own lines.
Oh, that's really cool.
I think not a lot of people know that about this past year's. Like Nandito Ko, we wanted it to be a more collaborative effort. Like Dom and I set the guidelines for it, and it was up to them to write their own lines. So most, if not all, the lines that you heard in this past year's was written by the cast themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like the heavier parts. So like me and Dom kind of like took reign and wanted to like make sure it was done correctly, especially with a topic like that. So with this year, we thought it was fun to do that too, especially Nikki, because she was a big part of what made Nandito Go the story that it was. So, and with the cast that we've recruited this year, I feel like they'll offer a lot to the stage. They're very, how do I explain? They're enthusiastic, they're eccentric, they're really fun. So I think doing it in that way kind of helps the person themselves get into the character. Because when you're given a character and you're given lines, you can only do so much to bring that character to life. So why not have them bring their own character to life? And that way they can bring little pieces of themselves and put it into their character and put it on the stage for everyone to see.
I imagine if hypothetically if Gio had like some lines, he'd be rapping.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Oh, that's him.
Yeah. Shouts out Gio, aka Fire Prince Lord Zuko.
MC Zuko.
All right. So when is PCN this year?
This year it is on Saturday, April 20th, 2019. So have high expectations.
I was gonna say anything, but that's cool. That's cool, you know. Wasn't it around that time too last?
Yeah, this last season was the 21st.
All right.
So it's just a day earlier.
Okay, all right. And then there's usually multiple shows, like one in the afternoon, one in the evening?
Yes, we're keeping up that tradition, so we have one for 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. And it's a free show. It's always going to be a free show.
Right. I just don't understand still how. So, when average of the show is like 2 to 3 hours, you want to
Yes,
say?
1 to 2, 3.
So it starts at 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then it ends at 5.
Yes.
Roughly.
Roughly-ish.
You know, Ninongs and Lolas take pictures outside at 5:30.
Yes, yes.
All the family stuff, and then you have to go back on stage again at 7.
Do it a second time.
What do y'all do in those 2 hours? Well, I mean, what can you do? Because like, this doesn't seem like it's enough.
Mm-hmm. So the funny part is, in that span or that span of time between 2 shows, we actually are not allowed back inside the venue because
okay.
the crews take a break.
Right.
So that's our time to like go get food
Oh,
or
gotcha,
like
get
spend
food.
time with like family.
Gotcha.
But then once we're back in, it's crunch time.
Right.
We're telling them like, okay guys, we gotta like be on our A game. Every time you finish a scene, start packing up because we gotta be out of here like ASAP.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a lot of crunch time. A lot of like, it's a small frame of time to do
Yeah.
everything. And during that time, we also do something special. The PCN coordinator, it depends on the PCN coordinator of that year, but what I witnessed in the past like 3 PCNs that I've been a part of was that time is when we do a prayer.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily geared towards those like who follow a certain
Right.
faith. It's a general
You know.
like prayer, and it usually is how do I explain it? It's usually adopted from like a traditional prayer
Right,
from
right.
the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just more of like, it gets us into the mindset that we're not doing this just for ourselves.
Right.
We're doing this for those before us, those among us, and those who are to come after us.
Yeah. You know, from the ones I've seen, it's depicted very authentic.
Mhm.
You know, and you know, sometimes you have to be in that mindset. And
Mhm.
definitely, I really think that I love the PCNs. It just shows, you know, a little bit of home.
Yeah.
You know, it's very accurate to the accents, to how they talk, the mannerisms, and the dances. Man, the tinikling dances.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still, I still don't know how. Like, I'm just mesmerized. You know,
Really?
and sometimes when they don't even look, you know, and there's
Mhm.
like more tinikling sticks are added.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how is that possible? You know, I'm busting out my
yeah.
phone, recording it, and sometimes I don't want to because I want to enjoy it, but I want to receive for later on. You
Mhm.
know, so April 20th. 2 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Yes.
7 p.m. seems to be like the more favored time.
Oh yeah,
you know?
definitely. Because everyone's out of work or they're
Right.
just like not occupied, so they got time to go to
Gotcha.
7 p.m.
And what about tickets? Do we need to get tickets or reservations of that nature?
Yes, there will be a website up soon
Okay.
for reservations. It's all free, so you just
Mhm.
reserve it online and then pick it up the day of.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it. I
Yes.
have high expectations
Oh,
myself.
thank you. So
I know they'll be
excited.
met. It's
Mhm.
gonna be lit.
Thank you.
You know? All right. So thank you. April 20th, y'all. Come by at the. Where is it located?
It's in the Plaza del Sol on the CSUN campus.
What she said.
Yes.
Plaza del Sol, CSUN campus. It's free, so bring your family, your friends, your Lola, your Tita, your Tito. You all say Tito and Tita? To me, it was just uncle always. I never used.
Yeah, I've always used Tito and Tita.
Okay, I always used like uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Charlene. We're looking forward to this PCN. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
I
thank
know
you.
so many people are. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. This is the Voncast Show.